This is not affirmations, not visualization, not another think positive advice. This is a fairy tale, and that's exactly why it works where ordinary tools can't reach. While you listen and drift to sleep, your mind stops defending itself. The inner voice that whispered for years, "Not for me, I don't deserve it, money is hard," goes quiet, and in its place comes a feeling, as if a door opened inside you that you never knew was closed. And then something strange begins to happen. Money starts coming, unexpectedly, as if from nowhere. Someone repays an old debt you had forgotten. A job offer appears out of the blue. You find money where you weren't looking. A discount exactly when you need it. A gift. A coincidence. A lucky moment. Only the coincidences keep multiplying. Those who listen to this tale for 30 nights in a row all say the same thing. It's like money finally started noticing me. Lie down, close your eyes, let the fairy tale do what years of effort couldn't. 30 nights. Just listen and watch what starts to happen. In a city full of noise and lights, there was a big market. It came alive at dawn when traders were setting out their goods and stayed busy until late at night, when the last shoppers went home carrying bags and boxes, happy with what they had found. This was no ordinary market. Here you could buy almost anything. Fabrics from faraway lands, soft and heavy at the same time, glowing in the light of lanterns. Spices that made your head spin just from the smell. Jewelry that people said carried little stories inside. Books that read themselves out loud if you opened them at the right moment. Dreams. These were sold by an old woman in the far corner, and there was always a line at her stall, though nobody could really explain what she was selling. And somewhere among all of this, there was one small stall. Behind it stood she. Every morning she came earlier than the others. She arranged everything carefully and with love, the way only she could. She placed her things along the edges, in the corners, in the middle, adjusted, looked, adjusted again. She did what she did best, and she did it well. She knew this, somewhere deep inside, in a place she rarely looked. She knew her work had something real in it, something that held her time, her attention, her experience, her own story. But people walked past. At first, it seemed like bad luck. The market was big. There were lots of people. Everyone had somewhere to be. Today, they didn't notice. Tomorrow, they would. But tomorrow was the same. And the day after. Sometimes someone would stop. Look, even pick something up. She would go still inside, not showing it, staying calm, smiling politely. And the person would look and put it back and leave. Sometimes without saying anything. Sometimes they asked the price. She told them, and she could see something in their eyes. Not anger, no, something quiet, like doubt. And they left too. And most often, they simply didn't notice her at all. She stood behind her stall, watching the stream of people, and the stream flowed around her the way a river flows around a stone. Not on purpose, just past. Time went by. She started trying things. Maybe it was how the stall looked. She moved everything around, bought a new cloth, bright, hard to miss, put up a small sign, added more light. It didn't help. Maybe the price was too high? She lowered it, then lowered it again. She told herself, the main thing is for people to buy, the money will sort itself out later. It didn't sort itself out. Maybe she wasn't friendly enough. She started smiling more, speaking louder, catching the eye of anyone who slowed down nearby, offering first, without waiting for them to come to her. But the more she tried, the more something inside her felt tight and forced. And people felt it, not in their heads, but in that quiet way everyone can sense when something isn't right. And they moved away even faster. She didn't understand what she was doing wrong. She was doing everything. She was trying so hard. In the evenings, when the market emptied and traders packed up, she stayed at her stall longer than anyone else. Not because she hoped, just because she didn't want to leave. Leaving meant admitting that the day had been wasted again. In those quiet evenings, one thought kept coming back. At first, she pushed it away. Then she stopped. The thought was simple. Maybe what I do isn't needed. Not I'm not good enough. Not I don't try hard enough. Just not needed. At all. By anyone. This thought was cold. It sat somewhere in her chest and wouldn't leave. And the strange thing was, right next to it lived another thought, very small, almost too quiet to hear. But it is good. I know it is good. One evening, while packing up, she really looked, at the stall across from her for the first time. She had barely noticed it before. It was so quiet, so plain. No bright cloth, no signs. The goods laid out simply, without any fuss. But every time she glanced that way, someone was there, talking quietly with the owner, picking something up, leaving with a purchase. The owner was a middle-aged woman, calm. She didn't call out to people passing by. She didn't smile on purpose. She simply stood behind her stall as if she belonged there, as if she had always been part of this place. And people came to her. The next day, she found her courage. She waited until there was no one at the neighboring stall, walked over and said, a little awkwardly, the way you speak when you're asking for something you're not used to asking for. Sorry to bother you. I've been watching for a long time. People buy from you every day. And from me, almost nothing. I do everything I can. I change things. I try. I adjust. But it's like I'm invisible. I'm not asking for your secret. Just maybe you can see something I can't. The woman looked at her for a long time, without rushing. Then she asked, do you yourself see what you're selling? Of course, she answered straight away. I make it myself, with my own hands, every day. No, the woman said quietly. That's not what I mean. Do you see this? She made a small gesture toward her stall. How do you look at what's there? She had no answer. Go and look, the woman said simply. Not to fix anything, not to judge, just look. She went back to her stall, stood in front of it, and tried just to look. It felt strange, uncomfortable, like looking at yourself in a mirror for too long. At first, you only see what's wrong, then everything blurs, and you don't know what you're seeing anymore. Straight away, words started coming. This is too simple. Lots of people make things like this. Nothing special. Others do it better. I can't charge much for this. Who even needs it? She noticed these words. For the first time, she noticed them as just words, not as the truth. Just words that had been living inside her for a long time. Maybe a very long time. Maybe from the very beginning. And underneath these words, something else. She looked at her stall, and suddenly she saw. She saw time, how much of it had gone into learning. Not weeks, years, tries, mistakes, tries again. She saw care, how much of it was in every single piece. She had never been careless, never, not even when she was tired, not even when it seemed pointless. She saw her own path, all the turns that had brought her here, to exactly this. Not by accident, for reasons she had once felt were important. What had seemed ordinary suddenly felt alive. She stood and looked, and for the first time in a long while, she didn't rush to judge what she saw. The next morning, she came to the market as usual, set everything out as usual. But something was different, not on the outside, inside. She didn't prepare words to convince anyone, didn't practice her smile, didn't think about how she looked. She just was there. The first person came in the middle of the morning, stopped, looked. She didn't rush toward them. She let them look. They asked something. She answered, simply and honestly. She told them what it was and who it was for. She told them how it was made. A little, about why she made it. The person listened, then asked the price. She named it, not the one she had lowered out of fear, the one that felt honest. The person was quiet for a moment and bought. She watched them go, and inside there was a quiet feeling, not triumph, something more like, yes, like this. Then a second person came. This one looked and left. She watched them go and didn't feel the usual sting, simply not theirs. That's all. By the end of the day, she had made a few sales. Days passed. It was different from day to day. Some days, almost no one came. Some days, she caught herself slipping back into old habits, wanting to lower the price, to be louder, to make everyone like her. In those moments, she remembered the neighbor's question, "Do you see what you're selling?" And she looked again, and found again what was there. Then, one morning, a stranger appeared at the market. He walked slowly, not like a buyer looking for something specific, more like someone who knew how to really look. He stopped at one stall, then another, picked things up, put them back, moved on. The market grew quieter where he passed, not from fear, from respect. Traders stood straighter, voices dropped, and then he came to her. He picked up one thing, held it to the light, put it back, picked up another. Two men in traveling cloaks had stopped behind him. They followed him everywhere, she noticed from the corner of her eye. "I am an advisor to the royal court," he said at last, in a plain, calm voice. "In 2 months, there is a great celebration. We need something that will last, not something that shines, something people will remember." He put the piece back on the stall, carefully. "Your work is something people will remember. The court will take as much as you can make," he continued, "and will pay what it is truly worth, not what you ask for it." He said the last part gently, but she understood. He saw her real price, the one she had never allowed herself to say out loud. The advisor reached inside his coat and placed a rolled paper with a seal on the stall next to her work. "The address is here. When you're ready, come. We'll be waiting." And he walked on. The market filled with noise again. She stood and looked at the rolled paper, then at her hands, then at her stall, at those same pieces that for so long had seemed ordinary to her. And for the first time she thought not, "Why does no one notice them?" but "They were always like this. I just finally stopped hiding them." The tale is complete, but something inside you has only just opened. Listen to this tale for 30 nights in a row. Each night it will work deeper. Subscribe and come back tomorrow.